the Sun coach, or not the Sun, Jesus, the Mercury coach. It's 3 or 4 a.m. and I'm thinking about the NBA. The Mercury coach, Nate Tibbetts, had absolutely no answer. He had no answer at all for Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and the Fever. He had no answer for the pace. He had no answer for the style of play. But you know what? You know what the best thing you can do when you've got no answer? When you can't get the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands? When you can't stop her? Just like Chicago, you wait. You wait it out. And eventually, Christy Sides is going to do your job for you and take the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands. But before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 20 point... Well, no, we're not going to 21k, but if we can hit like 20,700 by the end of the day, that'd be absolutely insane. Thank you guys so much for all the support on the channel recently. It's been incredible. But Nate Tibbetts had no answer. And like, if you're listening to like the pre-game press conference, he's talking about how he felt like they did a good job on they did a good job last time with the pick and roll, dealing with them. Talking about Caitlin Clark, how great obviously she is as a passing point guard. And we heard the last game that he had no answer to deal with the pace. He had no answer to deal with the pace. And his answer was to try to put, like, he genuinely came before the game, was like, well, what we did last time, we thought we did a good job, but like, we're going to have to put Brittany Griner on Boston. We can't just do that. We can't just do what we did the last time again. And his tactics for showing Caitlin Clark different looks worked horrendously. It worked horrendously badly. 78 points with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter before they got to 81, sorry, with like 2 minutes to go in the third quarter before Erica Wheeler got subbed in. But he had no answer. He started off with the Brittany Griner on Aaliyah Boston, and they couldn't deal with it. He couldn't deal with it. There was nothing he could do. Like, he was just genuinely... I think Brittany Griner going out was the best thing he could do, and going down 31 was the best thing because he threw in the towel and we saw the Caitlin Clark stopper get subbed into the game. Like, that was the only reason they got back into the game. And he just looked like... Nate Tibbetts is a really good basketball coach. And this is where, like, there are some times when you're looking at these games and you're like, it's kind of impressive how good Caitlin Clark is, because there are good coaches in the WNBA and there are bad coaches in the WNBA. And when it comes to like a Nate Tibbetts, he's probably not the best WNBA coach right now because he doesn't have experience coaching at this level. He's never even coached women's basketball before. But you can tell he's a good basketball coach. Like, you can tell he knows he knows his stuff. You can tell by the schemes he's trying to run. Maybe stuff isn't going to work in women's basketball. So he's trying to do anything he can. He's putting whatever matchup he threw everything at Caitlin Clark in that first quarter. Like, Sophie Cunningham was on her. Kat Copper was on her. They were just putting constant bodies on her. Celeste Taylor was picking her up full court. And Caitlin Clark bully balling Celeste Taylor on the inside. He had absolutely no answer. He had no answer at all for Caitlin Clark with the ball in her hand. He had none. None. And he had no answer for the Fever. And what he was doing was, the way he was playing so much defense focused on Caitlin Clark, it was freeing up Kelsey Mitchell to just cut and get wide open. They were so scared on inbounds. They were so scared of Caitlin passing it and getting it back that they were just giving up open shots off the inbound play. I've never seen it like that. Like, they were so scared of her that they were freeing up and giving everything to everybody. And then it took a I'm giving up defense of let's play a middle school zone, and then Christy Sides just showing again that she might be the worst coach in the history of the sport in the history of professional basketball, and how she lost that game. And it is one of the craziest things looking at all this, and I'm like, the coach has no answer. Like, Tibbetts had no answer whatsoever for Caitlin Clark. And that's the thing when it comes to the Fever, where it's like, you're talking about the Fever being like, coaches don't have answer for this team. No, coaches had answers for this team earlier on in the year. When they were going through Aaliyah Boston, when they were trying to figure stuff out, the coaches did have answers. They were stopping this team. This team was not a good offensive team. But running, transition, they're unguardable. They're unguardable. The only way you can beat them in transition is if you get that back down the floor first. It's a different sharpness you need. It's not about who's the fastest. Like the Iowa team, like obviously Hannah Stolke was a runner. Hannah Stolke was an athlete. It was a bit different with her. But Monica Sinano wasn't fast. She wasn't fast. But she was still getting up the floor. It's not about being a good running team is not about having the fastest players. It's about here. It is about like experience. It is about sharpness. So as soon as that ball is inbounded, I'm gone. You don't need to be the fastest player in the world. Because what happens is that in the WNBA, in a slow down game, when someone gets a score, like you're seeing it, like when someone gets a score, sometimes there's like a little bit of trash talk. They might they might just rest. They might hit a shot and be like, cool, walk back on defense. No, Fever there. Fever gone, basket. And it is a tempo of play that they've got no answer for. The only way to stop the tempo of play, as I've said, is to wait. Like, Nate Tibbetts had no answer. He literally, it was complete, like, sheer luck that they got back in that game. Look, sorry, on the defensive end. Kat Copper willed their team back into the game. But on the defensive end, it was pure luck. He made a decision to effectively just say, screw every defensive scheme. We're about to play zone like you're 14 years old. Like, you know the like zones you run when you're like 13 years old and your goal is like, okay, at this age, no one can really shoot 3-pointers consistently. So we're going to play this like crappy little zone. Oh, actually, no, they have one player that can shoot 3-pointers consistently. So we're going to deny that player the ball and we're just going to stay compact and let every other player shoot as many shots as they want. Like, that doesn't, like, genuinely, even if you're missing shots, cuts, movement, everything like that, any competent coach can coach 14-year-olds to beat that zone. Christy Sides couldn't coach professional basketball players to beat that zone. And it is just a crazy old situation. Obviously, I'm extremely angry about Christy Sides here. But I also have to take into account, like, just how great at one time this team looked in the game. I'm giving absolutely no, and I mean no credit to Christy Sides for it. I think they won in spite of Christy Sides. Not because of her. And you could see by the decisions Nate Tibbetts was making, the like freaking constant switching players onto Clark, the constant switch between full court, half court, who to leave open. Like, they let Kelsey Mitchell, an all-star, give him 28 and they didn't care. They were going to let Kelsey Mitchell do whatever she wanted. Because their goal might have been, look, if we can get the ball out of Clark's hands, I don't care how many points Kelsey Mitchell has. I don't care how many points any of these players have. Get the ball out of her hands. And he had no answer. He had absolutely zero answer. It was just fortunate for him that the answer came with the incompetence of Sides.